Yo, we got a jam-packed episode on this edition of the pod. First, the Eagles heavily pursuing MAXX CROSBY this summer, while the Celtics heavily pursuing Giannis Antetokounmpo. Who they are willing to give up for the Greek Freak is a flat-out shocker to me. But then you also know I got to jump into my top 5 players in the NBA, who I think the top 5 guys in the league are after Jalen Brunson and the Knicks make history this summer, winning the NBA Finals, their first title in over 50 years. We're diving into it all on this edition of the No Shame with Shane podcast. Yeah, sir. Man, jumping straight into it, the Eagles heavily pursuing MAXX CROSBY this summer. I've seen trade packages suggesting that they trade either Nolan Smith or J-Lex Hunt, along with some complimentary picks in compensation. Now, this would be huge for the Birds this summer. This would no doubt be a blockbuster trade. I can't lie. My boy does look good in the green, white, and black. He does look good. Obviously, he wouldn't be rocking 98 unless he pays Jalen Carter a bag and an arm. But he does look good in the Eagles gear. I can't even lie. But if I'm being real, the Eagles don't need MAXX CROSBY. Like we don't need MAXX CROSBY. Like I would genuinely love for MAXX CROSBY to be an Eagle this summer. Like in light of the Eagles heavily pursuing him, in light of Howie Roseman in that front office heavily pursuing him this offseason. But the Eagles don't need MAXX CROSBY to contend. We really don't. Like, we don't. Like, I would love for MAXX CROSBY to be an Eagle this summer. But realistically speaking, the Eagles don't need MAXX CROSBY to contend. Because, like having MAXX CROSBY, it would be a luxury and not a necessity. It would be a luxury, not a necessity. Like, we don't need MAXX CROSBY to contend this year because in my mind, the Eagles already have a Super Bowl winning defense. Like, you look at this defense, an elite D-line with Jonathan Grenard and Jalen Carter, an elite secondary with 2 All-Pros with the addition of Tariq Woolen, an elite, what could be an elite linebacker core with a defensive player of the year candidate in Zach Bond, a guy who would have been a defensive rookie of the year candidate at the very least in Jahad Campbell. Like, in my mind, this defense is still a Super Bowl winning defense without MAXX CROSBY. Like, I would love, again, for MAXX CROSBY to be an Eagle this summer, but MAXX CROSBY would be a luxury and not a necessity. We don't need MAXX CROSBY to contend this year. We just don't. We don't. Honestly feel like the Myles Garrett trade to the Rams, like Myles Garrett going to the Rams, is making Howie think that we need a huge name on the D-line like MAXX CROSBY in order to contend this year. And I just don't think that's true. I just don't think that's true. Like, we don't need MAXX CROSBY to contend this year. Like, because honestly, the Rams defense with Myles Garrett is not necessarily better than ours. It's not. Like, if anything, they're at the same level. Like, if anything, the Rams defense is on our level. Like, just 2 flat out elite defenses. But the Rams defense with Myles Garrett isn't necessarily better than ours, which is why I don't think we necessarily need MAXX CROSBY in order to really truly contend for the NFC this year. Like, if you look at both of these defenses, you look at both defenses on all 3 levels. You look at the secondaries first. Like, honestly, I'm leaning towards the Eagles secondary. Like, 2 All-Pros in the secondary, 1 additional Pro Bowler. I'm leaning towards the Eagles in that conversation. You look at the linebackers, Eagles linebackers clear the Rams linebackers. That's not even a discussion. Defensive player of the year caliber guy in Zach Bond, a guy who would have been a defensive rookie of the year candidate in Jahad Campbell. The Eagles clear in that regard. D-line now, that's debatable. Like, just because they have Myles Garrett, the best defensive player in the league, that's enough to make it debatable. Not even looking at Byron Young, all the other talent they have on that D-line, Poona Ford, Kobe Turner, Braden Fisk. Like, just the fact that they have Myles Garrett makes it a discussion. But even if you want to give the Rams the D-line discussion, even if you want to give the Rams the D-line debate and say the Rams D-line is better than the Eagles D-line, that's still 2-1. That's still too, like, looking at those defenses, the Eagles are better on 2 out of 3 levels on the defense than the Rams. The Eagles are better. The Eagles are better on 2 out of 3 levels on the defense as opposed to the Rams. So you looking at this trade, like the Eagles don't like the Eagles, like the Rams defense with Myles Garrett is not necessarily better than the Eagles defense. If anything, it's at the same level. If anything, it's at the same level. I still like, if anything, the Eagles might be still have a slight edge up, but if anything, they're at the same level. The Rams defense is not better than this Eagles defense. It's just not. Like, if I'm comparing the Rams defense right now and the Eagles defense right now, I don't think the Rams defense is necessarily better than this Eagles defense just because they have Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett obviously makes it more of a discussion than what it was, being that he's the best defensive player in the league, already an all-time defender in the history of the NFL. But the Rams defense right now is not head and shoulders above the Eagles. Like, if we're looking at the secondary, right? If we're making comparisons, looking at the secondary, starting with the secondary, I think Quinion Mitchell is better than Trent McDuffie. Quinion Mitchell being an all-pro, being a Super Bowl winning corner. We're looking at Tariq Woolen. I think Tariq Woolen is better than Jalen Watson. Tariq Woolen being a Super Bowl winning corner, an Pro Bowl caliber corner. We're looking at Cooper DeJean and Cam Kitchens. I think Cooper DeJean is better than Cam Kitchens. All-pro DB, more versatile DB, Super Bowl winning DB, Super Bowl hero as a DB. If we're looking at Andrew Makuba versus Cam Curl, I think they got it in that discussion. I think Cam Curl maybe takes Andrew Makuba. But then you look at Marcus Epps and Quentin Lake, I'm taking Marcus Epps. So the Eagles have a better secondary than the Rams on paper. You look at the linebackers, Jahad Campbell and Zach Bond clear Omar Spates and Nate Landman. Like Jahad Campbell, I think, has a higher athletic ceiling than Omar Spates. Zach Bond, as a former Defensive Player of the Year candidate, easily clears Nate Landman. And then you look at the D-line, I'll give the Rams the edge just because they have Myles Garrett. But the separation isn't huge. The separation between Myles Garrett and this Rams D-line and Jonathan Grenard and Jalen Carter and this Eagles D-line is not huge. So, if anything, this Eagles defense might be slightly better than this Rams defense, if not at the very least at the same level as the Rams. But if anything, but definitely, regardless of which way you want to go, this Rams defense is not head and shoulders above this Eagles defense. It's elite. It's an elite defense, but it's not necessarily better than the Eagles defense, I think, on paper. It's not. So if we're looking at this trade, the Eagles don't need MAXX Crosby this year to necessarily contend. The Eagles don't need MAXX Crosby on the roster in order for the Eagles to truly contend for the NFC. The Eagles have a Super Bowl winning roster right now on both offense and defense, but specifically defense. The Eagles have a Super Bowl winning roster on the defensive side of the ball the way it's currently constructed right now. Just because the Rams have Myles Garrett, that does not mean the Eagles need another big name, a big splash signing or acquisition in order to really contend for to contend out of the NFC this year. We just don't. Now, switching over to some NBA news, the Celtics. the Eagles aren't the only ones that have their eyes set on a big prize this summer. The Celtics are currently heavily pursuing Giannis Antetokounmpo, and who they're willing to give up is Jalen Brown. The Celtics, by according to some reports, the Celtics have already made a trade offer to the Bucks that includes Jalen Brown. It looks like trade rumors right now looks like it would be a three-team trade, obviously involving the Celtics and the Bucks. But the Bucks, I mean the Celtics being willing to trade Jalen Brown, that is a really big deal. I'm honestly shocked that the Celtics would even think about being willing to trade Jalen Brown, even for a guy like Giannis. But honestly, in the Celtics pursuing Giannis, I truly believe the Celtics are making a huge mistake. The Celtics are making a huge mistake in being willing to trade Jalen Brown for Giannis Antetokounmpo. They're making a huge mistake because honestly, I think the Giannis trade, if this goes through, it has a higher chance of making the Celtics worse than it does of making the Celtics better. Because if you think about it, the Celtics are already better. Like the Celtics are already up. Like from where the Celtics are right now, there's only one place left to go, and that's down. Like there's that, like it's hard to get it's hard for it's going to be hard for the Celtics to get better than what they already are because they've been a contending team, if not a favorite team, the favorite team to win out of the East for the past 3 years, including this year. And that was this year without Jason Tatum. So like it's harder for me to imagine the Celtics getting even better than what we have already seen them when they've still consistently been a contending team out of the East. Like them trading for Giannis, there's no way it makes them that much better of a team, at least the way it's currently constructed. There's no way it makes them that much better of a team than what we saw from them the year they went to the year they went to and won the finals in 2024. Even what they looked like the year after that. And then what they looked like last year. What they looked like last year with and without Tatum. So I honestly feel like a Giannis trade, this Giannis trade involving Jaylen Brown has a higher chance of making the Celtics worse than what they were, as opposed to making them better than what they were. Because I honestly don't feel like they can get much better than what we've seen them. I honestly don't think it can get much better because of the talent that they have, the versatility that they have lineup wise, the closers that they have. I don't see this team getting better than what they were. Like honestly, if I'm looking at Jaylen Brown and Giannis, like if I'm the Celtics, the bigger priority for me, like if I'm the Celtics, I would have more of a priority on retaining Jaylen Brown than acquiring Giannis. If I'm the Celtics, like I would not be willing to trade Jaylen Brown in exchange for Giannis. Because if I'm looking at Jaylen Brown and Giannis side by side, like, yeah, a healthy Giannis is the better player, but Jaylen Brown is the better player for the Celtics. The way this team is currently constructed, Jaylen Brown is the better player for the Celtics, even though Giannis is just the better player in general. Like, I'd also like Jaylen Brown, he honestly checks all the boxes. Like, one, I think Jaylen Brown complements Jason Tatum much better than what Giannis would, which is important considering because since obviously the Celtics are not going to don't plan on trading Jason Tatum. So you need to have someone who can both complement Jason Tatum, but also elevate Jason Tatum in a complimentary fashion. Jaylen Brown is also younger than Giannis. Jaylen Brown also has less injury issues than Giannis right now. Jaylen Brown also spaces the floor better than Giannis naturally. Like Jaylen Brown, like trading Jaylen Brown for an older player who is also dealing with a calf injury and lower leg injury, that's not something I would be willing to do. Like if you trade Jaylen Brown for Giannis, you honestly have to blow the whole team up because the way it's currently constructed, this team centered around a duo of Tatum and Giannis would implode. It just wouldn't work. So my priority, if I'm the Celtics, my priority would be on retaining Jaylen Brown as opposed to acquiring Giannis. Like it would be more important to me to keep Jaylen Brown than it would be to acquire Giannis. I just wouldn't be trading Jaylen Brown for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Like honestly, I honestly think in looking at that though, the Celtics are trying to pair Giannis and Jason Tatum, but if I'm the Celtics, I would rather pair Giannis and Jaylen Brown. Like Jaylen Brown and Giannis to me would be a better duo than Giannis and Tatum. One, because I think Jaylen Brown and Giannis would complement each other way better than Giannis and Tatum. I think they would complement each other way, way better. Like Giannis, like imagine like the way this team is currently constructed. Imagine Giannis on the floor with all of the perimeter scorers that this Celtics team has right now. Imagine Giannis being on the floor with Jaylen Brown, with Peyton Pritchard, with Derek White, with Sam Hauser, with Baylor Shireman, with Luka Garza, with Walsh, with Vucevic. Like Like all of these guys that can shoot. Imagine Giannis being on a floor that has this much spacing. Like, I would rather have this team built around a duo of Jaylen Brown and Giannis than have this team built around Jason Tatum and Giannis, two guys who really play a similar position, being forwards, different styles, but really similar position. Like, I would like a duo with Jaylen Brown and Giannis on this team would be way more dangerous than a duo of Tatum and Giannis. It would be a way more dangerous duo and therefore a way more dangerous team if it's centered around the duo of JB and Giannis than JT and Giannis. For sure. Like, and honestly, if this trade does go through, trading Jaylen Brown for Giannis, bringing Giannis to the Celtics is now Giannis's team. Like, if the Celtics proposal goes through for Giannis, the Celtics is now Giannis's team and not Jason Tatum's. It's Giannis's team. Like, Giannis is now the alpha dog in Boston, not Tatum. Not Tatum by any means. Giannis would be the alpha. He would be the first option. He would be the best player. Like, it's the Celtics would be Giannis's team because we know what Giannis is. We know who Giannis is when he's healthy. A healthy Giannis is a regular season MVP. A healthy Giannis is a finals MVP. A healthy Giannis is a champion. A healthy Giannis is a defensive player of the year, a consistent defensive player of the year candidate. Like, a healthy Giannis has a much more of a killer mentality than Jason Tatum. Is way more consistent in the playoffs than Jason Tatum. A healthy Giannis is the best player on the Celtics, not Jason Tatum. A healthy Giannis is taking over this team. Like, this is Giannis's team if this trade goes through. Because honestly, it hasn't really, it wasn't Jason Tatum's team. It wasn't Jason Tatum's team before this trade. Like, before this trade was even conjured up, it was arguable if it was Jason Tatum's team. Like, it wasn't Jason Tatum's team last year with the way Jaylen Brown dragged the Celtics to the playoffs without Tatum. It was arguable on whether it was Jason Tatum's team the year before that, last season. It was arguable if it was Jason Tatum's team the year the Celtics went to the finals with the way Jaylen Brown executed and performed in the playoffs, getting finals MVP. So if it was arguable on whether or not it was Jason Tatum's team with his teammate being Jaylen Brown, there's no way it's going to be Jason Tatum's team with Giannis now entering the building. If Giannis enters the building, if Giannis is a Celtic this summer, the Celtics is now Giannis's team, not Tatum's. It's Giannis's team, not Tatum's. Now, switching over to the NBA, in closing topic, I got to get into my ranking. There's been a lot of controversy in the comments. Y'all have been trying to, some of y'all have been on my side. Some of y'all have been kind of tearing me up on my latest ranking involving Jalen Brunson, where he ranks not only among players but specifically among point guards. So if I am ranking my top 5 guys in the NBA, I got to give 2 rankings. One, based off of this season specifically, and 2, one based off of just overall ability, overall production, overall skill set, overall dominance. So first, if I'm ranking my top 5 guys in the NBA based off this season, just this season, I'm putting Jokic at 1, I'm putting Wemby at 2, I'm putting Luka at 3, I'm putting Jalen Brunson at 4, and I'm putting Jaylen Brown at 5. I got Jokic at 1. Obviously, he was averaging a triple-double this year. Really was carrying the Nuggets to as far as they got in the playoffs. I got Wemby at 2 because just crazy defensive numbers, historic record-setting block totals in single games, and really throughout the season, while still being a first option, a generational talent on offense. Luka, close to averaging a triple-double this year, walking bucket, can drop 40 whenever he wants. was carrying the Lakers really when he was healthy while having his best defensive year statistically. And I got to put Brunson at 4 because he won a ring. Like, I got to put Brunson at 4 because he proved he could be a first option on a championship level team. And he arguably is the most clutch player in the NBA right now. And then I got Brunson at 5 because of his carry job with the Celtics during the regular season on both offense and defense, being as impactful as he was on both in both areas of the game. Both areas of the game, being their best offensive player and best defensive player. So, based on this season, that's my ranking. I got Jokic at 1, Wemby at 2, Luka at 3, Brunson at 4, Jalen Brown at 5. I definitely think Brunson edged himself. Jalen Brunson was definitely a top 5 player in the league this season. He was definitely a top 5 player in the league this season. There were very few players this year that were more clutch than Jalen Brunson. There were no players this year that were more clutch than Jalen Brunson in the playoffs, let alone the finals. Jalen Brunson was by far a top 5 player in the NBA this year, for sure. For sure. Just especially as a 6-foot guard to lead the Knicks to not only a title, but their first title in over 50 years. As being a true first option, that's top 5. That's top 5 material. That's top 5 evidence right there. There hasn't been we've only really seen 3 guards be this dominant in the game of basketball that is this conducive to winning, being true first options on championship level teams. Before Brunson, we only saw 3. It was Allen Iverson, it was Isaiah Thomas, and it was Stephen Curry. Aside from those 3 guys, out of all the great point guards that we have seen in the NBA, the Chris Pauls, the Jason Kidds, the Steve Nashes, we've only seen 3 point guards be 3 point guards who are 6-foot guys, be first options on championship level teams, be this conducive to winning. Jalen Brunson now joins that category. Jalen Brunson, as a 6-foot undersized guard, played like a giant in the playoffs. He was not only the first option on a championship level team, but he played like he was the best player on the court. The best player out of anyone on the court, including the opposition, including the away team. So Jalen Brunson definitely made a case for himself for top 5 this season, 1,000%. Now, if I'm looking at who my top 5 guys are overall, not just looking at this season, but overall, we're talking production, we're talking talent, we're talking dominance. That is a slightly different list. If I'm looking at my top 5 guys from this year specifically, number 1, I got Jokic. Number 2, I got Giannis. Number 3, I got Luka. 4, I got Wemby. And 5, I got Steph. I'm still putting Steph in there. Like, all of these guys healthy, I don't think there is anyone you are taking off this list. All of these guys healthy. Obviously, prime Jokic is a problem. No matter how good defense you play against him, he's going to score. He's also going to have 15 assists, 15 rebounds. Giannis, when healthy, is one of the only players in the league that can win an MVP and win a Defensive Player of the Year. Can play at that high a level in both aspects of the game. You look at Luka, a walking bucket, can drop 40 whenever he wants, from wherever he wants. Also had his best defensive year this year. You look at Wemby, he might go down as the best defensive player to ever play the game based on what we saw this season. And he's on track to be the best player to ever play the game overall, given that he led his team to a finals within his first 3 years in the league. On top of the fact that he's 7'5" and can shoot has a KD level pull-up. And then you look at Steph. A healthy Steph, I don't care what anybody says, a healthy Steph is a top 1 to 2 point guard in the NBA. Top 1 to 2 point guard in the NBA. A healthy Steph can take over a game whenever he wants. Whenever he wants. There's no locking him down. There's no, frankly, slowing him down. Whether he has the ball in his hands, whether he's running around off ball, a healthy Stephen Curry is unstoppable. All 5 of these guys are unstoppable. So if I'm looking at top 5 players overall in the league right now, I got Jokic at 1, Giannis at 2, Luka at 3, Wemby at 4, Steph at 5. 1,000%. All 5 of those guys, when healthy, are unstoppable. And honestly, I'm going to put Brunson at 6. After this year, Brunson is at 6. But honestly, if I'm looking at my top 5 guys in the NBA overall, Jokic at 1, Giannis at 2, Luka at 3, Wemby at 4, Steph at 5, there is not a single name on that list that I am taking off for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. There's no name on that list that I am taking off for SGA. A healthy Steph is way more lethal than a healthy Shai. Way more lethal, way more dangerous, way more unguardable than a healthy Shai. A healthy Wemby, no question, surpasses Shai in terms of dominance and is way more impactful in several areas of the game. Offense, he has the potential to be a cheat code. Obviously, rebounding, no one comes close. Defense, definitely Shai does not come close. A healthy Luka can drop 45 to 50, a 50-point double-double on any given night. A healthy Giannis is the best two-way player in the NBA. Best two-way player in the NBA. And a healthy Jokic can give you a 50-point triple-double whenever he wants. So there's not a single name on that list on my ranking for overall best players in the NBA that I'm taking off for Shai. There's no name. But that's all we got for today's edition of No Shame with Shane. If you haven't already, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to all of our social media platforms, and I'll be back later on with more shameless takes.